All right, COVID is back in the NFL with a vengeance. Urban Meyer is out in Jacksonville, thank God. In a move out of the Aaron Rodgers playbook, the Saints file for partial ownership of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not really. The Colts' Jonathan Taylor has more rushing touchdowns by himself than any other NFL team since October. Yes, that is absolutely 100% true. The Colts have lead the league with 20 rushing touchdowns since October. Jonathan Taylor has 17. The next highest is the Philadelphia Eagles with 17. Look it up. And this just in, yes, Matt Nagy still has a job. All this and more coming up on the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. All right, here we go. Welcome back to another edition of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. This is week 16 of the 2021 season. I'm Brad.
This is Zach.
And I'm Hefe.
All right, dude, you got to join our Patreon community. We're beefing it up in the off season. We're going to get ready for next season, do it bigger, better than before. There you're going to be able to find all of our stuff. We've got individual game analysis, Fantasy Central, weekly pick'em contests, so much more. It's all in one place. We made it easy for you. Go to www.horsemansports.com right now and join us. Okay, let's get started with our weekly pigskin pick'em leaders. Currently, this week, we have a four-way tie at the top with Trey, Willie on the west side, and Zach and Hefe.
That's right.
Yep.
But as we're recording this, thanks to COVID, we still have a lot of football left to play. There are still 4 games remaining. So I don't know that anybody should get cocky just yet. And a lot of wishy-washy games. The Raiders, Browns, Vikings, Bears, Washington, Eagles, those could go either way. And the way this season's gone, this Seahawks-Rams game could go either way too. So I don't even know what to expect. But still, I'm sitting in second place, which would really be, fifth place. But congratulations to you four for being on top, at least for a day. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, for right now, we have a new leader in the clubhouse.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's Willie on the west side on top now instead of Todd Haney.
Oh.
Yeah, Haney struggled this week. He only got 6 right so far out of, I don't know how many games, 12 games we've done so far, I believe.
I think
this week, I think that we've only had 9, right?
I
don't know.
No, it's 12 so far.
No, you guys got 9 right. So, yeah, you're right. But everybody, I can't bust Todd's balls too much because I had a horrible first half of the season. So I think he's entitled to 1 week, but
yeah, he's still 1 game back. And like you said, there's 4 more games to go. Obviously by the time everybody is hearing this, those games will be completed, but yeah, he's still right there in the mix, and all 3 of those guys are ahead of all 3 of us, so we can't really talk too much trash.
Yeah. Haney actually made a comment, a positive comment, like an encouraging comment last week after the show on one of our social media posts about the Horsemen are coming back or whatever. And I was like, bro, too little, too late. We got 3 weeks left. We're not making up that kind of ground. But I appreciate the encouragement for anyway. So, all right, before we get into our picks, man, let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about. Let's talk about what Hefe wants to talk about. Tom Brady was shut out for the first time since 2006.
Yeah, feels great.
Ending his bid to break Drew Brees' 255 game streak without being shut out. Now, I didn't catch how many games was Brady at, because they were both, Brees and Brady were both shut out in 2006. But I think Brady's might have been in the playoffs and Brees was in the regular season. So he was close, right?
It would have to be, from 2006. I mean, that's definitely over 200 games.
Yeah. So that, Brady can say all he wants, but he's wanting to smash as many records as he could. You know he wanted that one. You know that was part of his frustration last night when he was breaking tablets and saying 4-letter words. But according to ESPN Stats and Information, Tampa was the second largest Super Bowl era favorite to be shut out by an opposing team, and the first double-digit favorite to be shut out since 1994.
You know, it's wild that they were a double-digit favorite in the first place, in my opinion, with the way the Saints have been doing the Buccaneers since Tom Brady got there. I expected that to be a close game. Didn't expect it to go the way it did, though.
No, I didn't either. I don't know that anybody did. We talked about it. Did you guys take the Saints?
No.
F.A., did you take the Saints?
I thought about changing my pick before the game, but I stayed with the Bucs.
Okay. It's a safe bet, but it was also the first time a team leading the NFL in scoring coming into the game was shut out. A team leading scoring in the NFL. So the Bucs had more points than any other team in the NFL. It's the first time that a team leading in December got shut out. I got more. It was a crazy game. Brady didn't look like himself. He was definitely feeling the pressure. Big shout out to acting head coach Dennis Allen. I mean, that guy right there will probably be a head coach next year because of one game.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's how people react. I mean, he made a name for himself on national TV. But we do need to note that the Bucs did lose Godwin, Evans, and Fournette. Could have made a difference coming down the stretch. That last, when Brady knows he's got to make it up. And I can't remember who was in his face taunting him, but I thought for sure when I saw that, I thought, oh shit, this is not going to be good. But he still didn't put up. But he lost his weapons. Regardless, the Saints did a hell of a job. They did a hell of a job. They were brutal. They were they were very physical. They came to play football. There's no doubt about it. I love it. I'm a Bucs fan, but you know how I feel about Sean Payton. I loved watching the game. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, both defenses came to play and showed up in a big way. But you already mentioned it. I think the biggest talking point is the injury to Chris Godwin. And losing Mike Evans in the game is bad, but, that's not expected to be serious. But Chris Godwin, it was confirmed that he did tear his ACL. So that it is his season is done.
Yeah, Collinsworth wanted to say that. Did you catch that? When it happened, Collinsworth said, "Hey, can we go to a break before I comment on this?" And they came back and he didn't make a comment. And I know it's because he wanted to say, we all knew that it was probably the end of the season when that happened, just the way his leg planted and his knee buckled. I think Collinsworth wanted to say it, but, he's gotten his ass in a jam a couple times recently. He thought better to say, he probably didn't want to wish that on the guy either, but it was definitely nasty. Wish him a speedy return. But even losing Fournette, after Godwin and Evans were gone, Brady just started going to Fournette very heavily. And then Fournette went out. I don't know what you're going to do at that point, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everybody's going to be studying game film from last night. Is this the end of the Bucs run this year?
It'll be interesting to see because we saw what the Dolphins did to the Ravens. It was kind of the blueprint on how to stop that Ravens offense and Lamar Jackson and keep them contained. And the Ravens, look better with Tyler Huntley, but while Lamar's in the lineup, we've seen since that Dolphins game, it got rough. It'll be interesting to see if teams look at what the Saints do and are able, it's one thing to watch it on film and to practice it, and another thing to execute it against a really good offensive line. You have to be able to replicate it and have the playmakers to do it. So I don't know if everybody will be able to do it, but I think they've been putting the blueprint out there every time they play the Bucs.
What do you think, Zach?
It's concerning for the Buccaneers, absolutely, but that team is full of seasoned veterans. They have a really good coaching staff. If they can get their star players like Fournette and Evans back, there's no doubt they'll be able to game plan, they'll be able to scheme, they'll be able to change things up and continue to do what they've been doing. It's a divisional game. We know the Saints are a good football team, especially their defense. It's not surprising. I mean, it is surprising that they completely shut them out. Nobody would have guessed that, but it's not surprising that the defense stepped up and did well against them, especially missing Godwin, Evans, and Fournette. So I don't think it's the end of the road for the Buccaneers. It's definitely concerning. It gives their opponents a little bit more of an advantage now that they've been exposed like that. But I do think with the veteran leadership, the experience, the coaching staff, they'll be able to make adjustments and continue to do just fine as we head into the playoffs.
Okay. Fair enough. There's a couple other things. Well, from there, the Packers had a hell of a day yesterday.
Oh, yes, they did.
Thank you, Bucks. Thank you, Saints. Moving right up into that first place in that number 1 seed. So
I was gonna save this for later, but I'm gonna ask it. I was gonna ask your top 3 MVP candidates right now. However, me personally, I'm going to eliminate Tom Brady from that with what happened, getting shut out. I just don't think you can get shut out and call yourself the MVP of the league. So
I would agree with that unless he comes back the next 2 weeks and has 400-yard games, and then we're having that tends to nullify that kind. I mean, I agree with you completely, but we still have some football left to play. And if they rattle the next make a run to the next 6-7 games and win a Super Bowl again, you still might be having that conversation. I don't know, but I agree with you.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely that could, but right now the eye test, I mean, it shows that Tom got shut out. So I think that I had 3 guys as my front runners for the MVP, and 2 of those guys, Aaron Rodgers and Jonathan Taylor, just severely separated themselves from Tom Brady and the rest of the pack right there.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's how I felt after this week, and I thought Tom was right up there, probably at the top, because the most touchdowns, most yards, all that stuff are pretty close to the most touchdowns. But I feel the same way. I think with what we saw this past weekend, it's Aaron Rodgers and Jonathan Taylor. Then you take a step down, it's Tom Brady. Then you take a step down, and it's who knows at that point.
Well, and so let's talk about Jonathan Taylor real quick. Jonathan Taylor leads the league in carries. He has 270 carries, first in the league. He has 1,518 rushing yards. He's also first in the league. 1,854 yards from scrimmage, also first in the league. 17 rushing touchdowns, first in the league. 5.6 yards a carry, first in the league. Additionally, he has had 11 consecutive games with a touchdown. He has tied Emmitt Smith and Priest Holmes, 2 pretty good fucking names to be tied with. And the only 2 in front of him are LaDainian Tomlinson and John Riggins, 2 other pretty good names to be tied with if he scores this week. And he very easily could break this record. So Aaron Rodgers is balling out. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know how Jonathan Taylor gets overlooked from here. I just don't. Now, I think obviously if the Colts drop the last 3 games and he doesn't get in the end zone the last 3 games, but I don't see that happening. So,
no, they've made a point of emphasis of getting him the ball ever since that Buccaneers game and the way that thing went down at the end of it, not getting him the ball for 27 plays. They've made an emphasis over the last 2 to get him the ball. I expect them to continue, because with the way they won that game against the Patriots, Carson only threw 12 passes. He only completed 5, had an interception. Didn't even get to 60 yards in that game. They just went into there knowing Bill Belichick, the smartest football coach of all time, is going to try to take away the run game. And they just went man-to-man and bodied the Patriots all game long.
Which tells me that I don't think anybody can shut him down. What were you going to say, Zach?
So I'm sitting here looking at the overall schedule for the Colts and the numbers and all that stuff. And there were 6 times throughout the season where Jonathan Taylor did not eclipse 100 yards. Do you know which games those were?
I don't.
I'm going to say the Seahawks, the Rams, rushing yards, the Ravens, the Bucks, and I don't know what else there is.
You're on the right track. Every single loss that the Colts have this year, Jonathan Taylor did not hit 100 yards. Every win, he surpassed 100 yards. That's how important he is. That's why I think when it comes to most valuable player, I mean, the Packers, when Aaron Rodgers didn't play, they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But if Jonathan Taylor's not hitting 100 yards, the Colts are losing every single game. But if he's in there, the Colts are one of the best teams in the league. So for that reason, as it stands right now, I say he has to be the front runner.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I really can't. And I don't know that most people can. Look, the Colts are running the ball so much now that I've seen people bitching all day that they need to throw it more. They were talking about that on McAfee show. They were bitching about, I can't remember who was on there, was talking about that if they're going to win a Super Bowl, then the quarterback has to step up. And I made a comment. I was like, Trent Dilfer called, right? This is a formula. And I'm telling you, if Bill Belichick can't shut it down at this point, I don't know that anybody can. That guy can take middle school players and figure out how to cause problems and disrupt you. And there was no disruption or problem. So this team is hot, man. They are real hot. They're everything that for 2 years we've been trying to say that they are. I'm trying not to be bitter about all the Colts fans that have bitched about Reich's got to go and Wentz sucks all year, that are suddenly now they're like, oh, they're so awesome. And I'll let that go. But this is the team that the three of us knew this team could be, has known for 2 years. And especially when Wentz came in with the preseason that he had and coming into a new team and just being hurt right out of the gate. I mean, shit, he didn't have his full preseason until about week 7. So this guy's going to get nothing but better, and they know what the formula is right now. The interesting thing is that I think that every game that Wentz plays, he's going to get more and more comfortable. So when it comes time for him to throw, he's going to be ready to do it.
I hope so.
And I think Frank Reich has done a good job of, if you listen to his press conferences and the way he defends Carson is because they are a run-first team and they try to keep that as the identity, running the ball, they need Carson to just handle the ball well and not turn the ball over. And the decisions that he makes, obviously the interception there against the Patriots, that was kind of a boneheaded mistake. He pump faked it, and when he pump faked it, he probably should have gunned it then. By the time he went to throw the ball, it was too late at that point. So he's got to rein those in. But, I mean, for the offense that they run, you just need Carson. Again, just don't turn the ball over. Just turn around, hand the ball off, or have a really good play action. Scramble when you need to, which he's been good at lately, picking up first downs on the run. So hopefully, he can continue to play smart because that defense is looking dominant again. And obviously the run game is going to continue to go as Jonathan Taylor goes. Yeah.
And they should. They absolutely should. I wanted to throw something else in here. I didn't hear this, but a friend of mine was talking about this, that I guess Belichick, after the game Saturday, opened up his press conference. And the first thing he said was that they were thinking about Ryan and his family, and then just went on the press conference. Did you guys hear this?
No.
And then he just went on with his press conference, kind of went under the radar. Well, my buddy's a huge Colts fan, and he went digging. A big shout out to Big John Payne. He went digging, and he found out that Ryan Kelly's wife apparently miscarried sometime before the game on Saturday. And Belichick, the guy has a heart, is what I'm trying to say. Right? Who knew? Certainly not what everybody expected. I think that's a classy move, especially in the face of that loss having big implications for the Patriots. He knows that. So I just thought it was kind of cool when I read that. John dug that out, and our thoughts go out to Ryan Kelly and his family for sure. But last thing, as we're talking about MVPs and GOATs, Jeff, you'll be happy to know that Brady's getting ready to release his TB12 clothing line, and Christmas is coming, my friend.
Yeah, don't get me any of that. I'm okay.
Look, I'm a Manning fan. I'm just saying that Manning doesn't have a clothing line. That's all I'm saying.
No, he has hospitals.
Oh, good point. Excellent point.
Apparently, he may also have ownership of the Denver Broncos before this is over.
Yeah,
I did
read
hear that.
something about that. Yep.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. So, all right, you want to jump into these games?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. We are going in blind because there are still 4 games to play as we're recording this. But the first game will be on Thursday. Will be the 49ers at the Tennessee Titans. I'm struggling with this one because the 49ers appear to be picking up the pace, and the Titans appear to be losing their grip. I would not be surprised if the 49ers go in here and win this game. I'm actually going to pick the 49ers, but I have to say the Titans are still a good football team. They're at home. Obviously, they're minus Derrick Henry. But there's a little bit of wishful thinking here, too, because we need the Colts to what? The Colts need to win 2 out of the next 3, and the Titans need to drop 2 out of the next 3, and then the Colts win the division, right?
That is correct.
All right. I'm taking the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've been high on the 49ers the last few weeks. They have consistently played very well. I think they've won 2 in a row here, but at least they've won 4 out of the last 5 that I'm looking at now. It doesn't go back further than that. But yeah, it's the Titans. We knew that they're going to struggle without Derrick Henry. A few of these games they've been able to pull out, but it seems like they're just not that team anymore. And so when you have a good team that is getting hot like the 49ers, and then you have the Titans who are fizzling out, just lost a heartbreaking game to the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to go with the 49ers here. They're favored by 3.5. I think the 49ers are going to cover that.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you in thinking that the Niners are going to be able to cover that. The Titans, when they don't have Derrick Henry and Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, they're a shell themselves. Tannehill hasn't been the same this year without the threat of Derrick Henry behind him and a great stable of receivers. And Julio, as much as I love him, and I was hoping, even in Tennessee, I was hoping to see Julio have some success. His hamstring injuries that he's battled forever and has always played through as he's gotten older, they're becoming more and more of an issue. And he was ruled out of that game late. And, even if he plays, will he be a factor? Will he finish the game? A.J. Brown, there's still really no word on whether he's going to play or not. Maybe as the week goes on and they know how important this game is, they activate him. But I just don't see a way that the Titans, with how they've looked, and the 49ers, how they've looked, Jimmy G not turning the ball over. George Kittle and Deebo Samuel have been absolutely dominant all over the field. So I will be taking the 49ers. And as I said before, I do also believe they cover.
All right. All 3 of us are taking the 49ers. Next game up is the Browns at the Packers. This is a no-brainer. I don't even have anything to add. The Browns are just in a lot of trouble. Are they still in trouble right now? Is anybody watching the score?
They're down 10-0.
Okay, they're probably going to lose to the Raiders. I just think this is going to come apart. I think the Browns have just been desperately trying to hold it together, trying to get things to fire the right way, and I don't think it's going to. And I think it's just going to unravel from here. The Packers are tuning up for a run. And they're going to do it. They're going to put it on them this week.
Yeah, it's the Packers are looking good, man. Obviously, I'm always cheering for the Packers. They're my second favorite team. But Aaron Rodgers is looking good. The Packers are looking good. Right now, they're my favorite to come out of the NFC. That's trying to put my biasm aside. They're doing what they have consistently done the last few years. The Browns, they're going through some struggles. They've had injuries. They've been facing adversity. Now they're having a COVID outbreak. Obviously, the game is going on right now with the Raiders. It appears they're going to lose that one, too, to drop to 7-7. I don't think even if they get everybody back, they're going to be able to go into Lambeau and upset the Green Bay Packers. So I'm taking the Packers all day.
Yeah, I mean, this is, put the tail of the tape up with these two, and it doesn't even come close again. We were talking about MVPs earlier, and Aaron Rodgers is right back in that conversation to go back to back for MVP. He's playing like it every week, even with that broken toe. And there's, the Browns, their defense plays well, but they're not going to be able to stop Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. Those dudes are as good as it gets in the NFL, what they do. So I will also be taking the Packers here.
All right. We are all three taking the Packers, and you should too. All right. That was, by the way, that was a Saturday afternoon game. Oh, and by the way, the Packers are the only team to clinch their division. Is that right?
That is correct.
How crazy is it that we're in week 15, right? Right? Is that right?
Going into week 16.
Finish week 15, going into week 16, and only one team has clinched their division.
It's insane.
It is insane. I was going to say, it shows the insanity of this season. But congratulations to the Packers for locking that up. Of course, they are in the NFC North, so there's that.
Yeah. And by the way, like Brad mentioned, this is a Saturday game. Saturday this week is Christmas, so Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, and it's cool that we got two games. We got Saturday, the Browns Packers, and then Saturday night we have primetime, the Colts and the Cardinals. This is going to be a good game. Look, I don't know what in the hell happened yesterday with the Cardinals, but that makes me excited. Makes me really excited. These teams are supposed. It tells me. We talked about this a little earlier, where I about midway through the season, I had mentioned that the Cardinals, when they were around 7-0, 8-0, that they may be peaking early, and that may be what's happening here. Of course, they could bounce back and be a completely different team this Saturday, and we might have a really, really good game. But I think the Colts are peaking. I think they're getting better. They're getting their shit together, and I'm taking Indianapolis in this game.
Yeah, this the Cardinals. It's out of the last 5 games, they've lost 3 of the 5. The only 2 games they won, they beat the Bears by 11 and they beat the Seahawks by 10. Not very impressive wins. On the flip side, the Colts are probably the hottest team now that they just beat the New England Patriots, who were the hottest team. This game, not having DeAndre Hopkins is going to really hurt the Arizona Cardinals, especially, and this is the key in this game, in my opinion, Darius Leonard and the Indianapolis Colts defense. I don't think not having DeAndre Hopkins I don't think the offense for the Cardinals is going to be able to do anything on this defense, who are flying around creating turnovers, and then the offense is going down the field and scoring off those turnovers. Or hell, even the defense is scoring a touchdown, it seems like, every single game. So as good as Jonathan Taylor is running the ball and the Colts offense has developed over the course of the season, it's really this Colts defense that is the key for them. And I don't think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are going to be able to keep up and beat the Colts this game. So I'm taking the Colts as well. By the way, the Cardinals are only favored by a point at home, if that's telling you anything.
Yeah, and that's actually gone down. The line opened at the Cardinals getting 2 points. So seems like more people are starting to believe what we're believing about this Colts team. The only 3 ever since the 0-3 start, the only 3 losses are games where they beat themselves. They get off the game plan and they get the penalties and they beat themselves. And with as hot as they are and what the Arizona Cardinals have looked like, I mean, if you think about Kingsbury and Kyler's first couple years together, it seems like every year, they kind of start hot and everybody's like, all right, they're going to be for real. And then at the end of the season, they lose, 5 or 6 of their last 8 games. And it seems like they're going down that path again. I mean, an embarrassing loss. They got dominated. They didn't just lose. They got dominated by the worst team in the NFL on Sunday. So with what we've seen from them, this Cardinals defense, not nearly as intimidating as that Patriots defense is. The coaching staff for Arizona, not nearly as intimidating as it was for the Patriots. I think Jonathan Taylor has another massive game. I think we see Carson Wentz come back, have a good game here. And if I'm the Colts, I'm sticking I'm sticking Kenny Moore on Christian Kirk all game long. Wherever Christian Kirk goes, I put Kenny Moore there and let that matchup happen all game long. But I think that the Colts can pass and win in this game. I think they can run and win. I think either way it goes, either way you cut it up, Colts fans get a nice Christmas present there at the end of the day with the Colts win.
All right. We are all three in agreement. We are all three taking the Colts over the Cardinals on Christmas night. So hopefully there's a huge Christmas present for the Indianapolis Colts, moving them one step closer to doing almost the impossible.
The impossible, yeah.
And that's winning the AFC East. I mean, we talked about this 6 weeks ago, that they were in a hell of a hole, and there was a whole lot of things that had to go their way to get there. And my friends, they are right here on the doorstep. It is right here in grass, because as we get down into Tennessee, it's not improbable to think Tennessee will drop 2 out of their last 3. Not at all. So, all right, next game up on Sunday, the Detroit Lions at the Atlanta Falcons. Look, Hefe, I want to contradict you for a second. I want to challenge you for a second. I don't think the Lions are the worst team in football anymore. Honestly, I think the Jags and the Texans. I think the Lions, Mad Dan, they may be getting their shit together. Now, I'm not saying the Lions are going to, rattle off the next 3 and finish 5-11-1 or any crazy shit like that. I'm just saying, I think the emotion is paying off, and I think, dude, they're 1-11-1, and they brought enough fire to beat the Arizona Cardinals. And to keep a bunch of grown-ass men that motivated, knowing that your win means absolutely jack shit, my hat's off to him. I'm impressed. And if he's got the X and O's, he can bring people with the X and O's and keep that passion up. The Lions may have their coach. I laughed about the whole kneecap thing. I busted this guy's balls all year, but I'm a fan. Right now, I'm a fan. But I don't have the balls to take him this week. I'm taking the Falcons.
I had a feeling I was coming. It's cool. It's exciting to see the Lions pull out to the last 3. But at this point in the season, you're already eliminated. You got to win. Everything's cool. Look towards the future. Don't win any more games, because you're going to need a higher draft pick. So they're actually doing more harm than good. However, I do like the way they are playing, so hats off to the coaching staff and the players all coming together and pulling out their second win in 3 games. Again, I don't see that happening this week against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons aren't a very good team by any stretch of the imagination, so who knows? I mean, the Lions could come in with a lot of confidence, come out there and ball, and end up pulling another win out. But I just can't pick them when it comes to making these picks, so I'm going with the Falcons at home.
Now, this is one where I'm probably going to be back and forth on this all week long.
You won't do it.
Because I think when it comes down to it, the Lions are going to be more physical than the Falcons. And I think they're going to be able to get to Matt Ryan, that his offensive line is terrible. And he's been making mistakes because of the offensive line. So, I am picking the Lions.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Attaboy, Hefe.
Because you look at what MCDC was able to do. He was without his top 2 running backs, his top tight ends. Those are the best playmakers on that team, or have been this year. And you got guys like Amon St. Brown, the rookie wide receiver, and Craig Reynolds, this next man up running back, came in, had over 100 yards. I mean, using what he has and the roster that he was given, and being able to beat the Cardinals the way that they did it. And whether it's, people are saying, everybody has an off day, and the whole Cardinals team had a whole off day, whatever. But I mean, they got thrusted into making the mistakes that they were making because the Lions were putting the pressure on them. So, I think Dan Campbell and this team have slowly gotten better as the year goes on. I think they're going to come in and attack the Falcons and look for back-to-back wins.
All right. Zach and I are taking the Falcons. I'm rooting for the Lions. I want, and I think they can win. I just statistically, I can't make that bet. But Hefe is taking the Lions. He's laying them out there.
Yep, I'm one of the 17%.
In Spanish, they call them huevos grande. All right. So next game up, the Ravens at the Bengals. Interestingly enough, this is a really, really big matchup right here for the AFC North. Are they tied? Or the Bengals a game ahead?
They are tied, but I do believe that the Bengals
have the tiebreaker.
Yes, because the Bengals had beaten them earlier in the year.
So, all right, my take on the Ravens. I've talked about this before. The Ravens very easily could. They're 8-6. They very easily could be 4-10. I mean, they've squeaked by in a couple of games. Their luck ran out against the Packers. But with that said, do we have a quarterback controversy in Baltimore?
It's Huntley's pretty damn good.
I don't know how you can say that with a guy like Lamar Jackson because of the numbers he's put up. But I mean, this kid just came in and tore everything up and damn near got him a win, which I know Jackson's got a couple wins. So I'm not completely, I'm just saying this kid how long is Jackson out for?
There was a chance he was going to play on Sunday, but they ended up keeping him out because Huntley they have eyes too. They know Huntley's good, so they let him play. From what I've heard, from what I've picked up, it sounds like Lamar probably going to be in the lineup.
Oh, he'll be back.
Yeah.
Would you sit out another week?
Yeah. That's a very good point.
He's fighting for his job at this point.
He does not want a new zip code next year. I bet he does come back. I'm impressed with Huntley. And I don't know what happened to the Bengals, other than the Broncos defense kind of thing. So this is in Cincinnati. I don't know, man. When you look at what this comes down to me is the experience factor. The Ravens are way more experienced with winning and trying to put it together. They've come up short the last 2 years. It's kind of crunch time. I want to believe. I mean, Harbaugh's been around the block a couple times. But then on the flip side, are the Bengals young enough that they don't give a shit about any of that? It's in Cincinnati, which isn't Baltimore and Cincinnati, not that far apart. It's not that big a deal. I'm taking the Bengals right now, but I need to mill this over a little bit because I'm not really sure where to go with this.
Yeah, so it's a divisional game, big divisional game. The winner here is going to take over the lead for the AFC North. The Bengals had beaten the Ravens way back in week 7, 41-17, and that was in Baltimore. The Ravens, throughout the course of this season, 6 of their 8 wins have been by 6 points or less. So they could have very easily been 2-12 instead of 4-10 or whatever you said earlier. But at least I know you guys agree, good teams find a way to win, and that's what the Ravens did for the bulk of the season. However, they haven't been winning. They've dropped 4 out of their last 6 and 3 in a row. So I think the Ravens, although they found a way to win, those wins haven't been convincing, and even the wins that they did get, they haven't been good. So the Bengals, on the other hand, they've had their ups and downs. I do believe that they're playing a lot better, and I think they're starting to get a lot hotter, whereas the Ravens are heading in the opposite direction. So given that they blew them out 41-17, I think it's going to be a closer game than that. But I am going to go with the Bengals here. The Bengals are favored by 2.5 at home. I think they'll cover that.
This is a game where, Zach was just talking about he thinks it's going to be closer than last time. I think it's going to be very similar to that 41-17 score. I think, the Bengals, they're getting better on defense, just continue to get better. It's quietly Trey Hendrickson is one of the best defensive linemen in the league. Nobody's really talking about him, but he's been outstanding, one of the best free agent pickups of the offseason for the Bengals. And you look at the Ravens, all the injuries that they have on defense. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd in this passing attack. Joe Mixon, he ended up leaving the game with, I believe it was an ankle issue, came back in and left again, but came back in for the kneel down at the end. Sounds like he's going to be fine, but something to watch. I don't think they're going to need to lean on the run game here. I think they're going to let their defense force some turnovers and do what they do. They're going to keep points off the board. The Bengals have a very good defense, and I expect Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, who is coming off a pretty bad week himself, T. Higgins also. I think they're going to be explosive this week, and like I said, I think it's going to be pretty similar to that 41-17 game blowout here.
All right, so we are all three taking the Bengals. I want to kind of throw something out here. Steve Kornacki, who's an NBC NFL analyst, had some pretty interesting statistics last night about the Ravens. Entering week 13, when the Ravens were 8-3, they had a 73% chance to make the playoffs and a 47% chance to win the AFC North. Entering week 15 at 8-5, the Ravens had a 67%. So they dropped from 73 to 67% to make the playoffs. And they dropped from 47% to 40% to win the AFC North. Now, what are they, 8-6? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now they're 8-6. They have a 50% chance of even making the playoffs and only a 26% chance of winning the AFC North. So they are definitely in a tailspin for sure. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I thought that was interesting.
And if they find a way to beat the Bengals on the road, both those percentages are going to shoot right back up because they're going to split games with the Bengals and they're going to be a game up at that point. So it'll be interesting to watch. I just don't know if they have the firepower to do it.
Yeah, well, and that was another stat that he added that I didn't include. That had they beaten the Packers yesterday, which I saw people ridiculing Harbaugh. Good on him for having the balls to give his team he did exactly what he should have done, in my opinion. That pays off. He's a genius today. I've seen a lot dumber decisions made by coaches than that. And had they pulled that off, their percentage would have gone to 79% to make the playoffs and 52% to win the AFC North. So if you're right, if they beat the Bengals, those numbers can certainly jump. Okay, next game up is the Los Angeles Rams at the Minnesota Vikings. Fuck them Vikings. What's the Rams' COVID status? I haven't checked on that today.
They still have quite a few players out. I haven't gotten too many notifications about people being reactivated for them at this point.
All right. Well, this is one of those games, man, that, I mean, the Rams should win this game, but, COVID's screwing everything up, and the Vikings screw everything up that I pick, and so it doesn't matter which team I pick. The opposite will probably happen with the Vikings, but I got to take the Rams. I can't. I mean, we're coming down. We're in playoff time. If you're a contender, you got to win, and I'm taking LA.
Yeah, the Rams had a little rough stretch there, dropping 3 in a row, but they've since bounced back, 37-7 win against Jacksonville. Then they went into Arizona when Arizona was one of the hottest teams in the league, pulled out a win there, 30-23. We don't know what the matchup is against the Seattle Seahawks from this past week yet, but I would assume they're going to pull out a win there. Even if they don't, when it comes to this game against the Minnesota Vikings, I got to take the Rams because they are a playoff team, and it's time to really ramp it up, dial it in, and get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, by the time this game comes around on Sunday for the Vikings-Rams, I expect a lot of the people on the COVID list for the Rams to be back against the Vikings here. So This one, as much as I like the Vikings, their offense is easily the strong part of that team, but the Rams defense, I think, is going to be able to shut them down enough in this game, and we know how high-powered that Rams offense is. I don't think the Vikings are going to stop them very often. I could see the Rams putting up 45, 48 points in this game in a blowout win, so I am also on the Rams.
Okay, all three of us taking the Rams over the Minnesota Vikings. All right, next game up. This one is interesting as well. So Bills and the Patriots, and the Colts knocking the Patriots down. Have to have the Bills smelling blood. This is a way to turn everything around. It's a way to get your division back, get your playoff spot back. So we're going to see in this game, we're going to see what both these teams are made of right here. This should tell us a lot about their playoff potential of who comes out of this game, and not even necessarily the winner, just how they play. If the score ends up 28-27, and it was exciting all the way down the end, you can't make a determination based off that W and that L. But if it's 28-13 or whatever, we're having a different conversation. Based on Belichick. Based on what happened last time, and based on Belichick getting beat Saturday, based on them being at home, and I'm still going with New England this week, but I'll be the first to admit either team can win this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go against what you're saying here. It's the first game, weather conditions. I mean, the Mac Jones threw the ball 3 times or whatever it was. Everybody had to run the ball, and it's no secret that the Bills do not have a very good run game. That offense flows through Josh Allen's arm, and he wasn't able to use his capabilities and his talent like he would want to because of the weather conditions. And obviously, I'll give credit to the Patriots in that game because they have a really, really, really good defense, and Bill Belichick, genius, all this stuff. But so even with those weather conditions, the Bills were still in it. They only lost by 4 to the Patriots. And I think it's hard to beat a team twice in one season, let alone twice in 4 weeks. I think that if the weather condition, I haven't checked, so this could be completely inaccurate. It could be the worst conditions ever. But if they're relatively normal, I think Josh Allen is going to have a nice revenge game here against the Patriots. This Bills defense, now that the Colts have exposed New England with what they did, I think this Bills defense is also going to create some turnovers, which will be beneficial. Josh Allen's going to punch it in, and the Bills are going to come away with a win in New England. Patriots are favored by 2.5. Obviously, I'm taking the Bills all day here. I do think the Patriots can win. It is a very good game. It's a huge divisional game, huge playoff implications, but I do think the Bills come away with a win here.
Yeah, before making my pick for this game, I did check the weather. I wanted to see what that was going to be like at game time. It's supposed to be 40 degrees with max of 13-mile-an-hour winds. It's not a huge deal in the NFL, especially when you have a guy like Josh Allen who rockets the ball at 120 fucking miles an hour. They were in that 30-mile-an-hour wind, 40-mile-an-hour wind, and he was able to throw darts. So I expect in this game, with it being better weather, I expect this to be more of a Bills game. I think that the Bills, since that Patriots game, I mean, they got smacked in the mouth. And I think since then they've realized, like, they just got to be tougher. They got to be tougher in the trenches. This past week, Singletary gets 22 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown. It's not the greatest yards per carry average, but they're making an effort to run the ball. And when you have to worry about Singletary coming out of the backfield, to worry about Josh Allen running a read option, it'll keep things open in the pass game, where the Bills, Emmanuel Sanders getting hurt might have been, you never wish for somebody to get hurt, but might have been the best thing for him because it gives Gabe Davis a chance to get into the lineup. And now what are you going to do with Emmanuel? You probably have to sit him because Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs need to be on the field together. You can't just single out one of those guys all game because the other one's going to break free. So I think the more dynamic offense here is going to be the Bills. And I also, like Zach, believe that the Bills defense is going to take some lessons from their last game against the Patriots, take some lessons from what the Colts just did to the Patriots, force Mac Jones into some turnovers and force the Mac Jones, force him to make some turnovers and force his Patriots team to make some mistakes that they wouldn't normally make. And so I think the Bills get the revenge here and get on top of their division.
All right, so Zach and Hefe are taking the Bills. I'm taking the Patriots. It's been interesting. I'm curious to see when Belichick lets Mac Jones open up and start throwing the ball deeper. It was brought to my attention that I think his longest pass maybe 32 yards or something this year. And most of them are around not any longer than 10 to 15 yards. So, and the formula is working. I'm sure that's, let him get confident, let him learn the system, get confident. But the person that brought my attention, we'll give Matt Van Horn a big shout out. He brought it to my attention and said, is this something that Belichick may unleash in the playoffs? Is the kid ready to throw and they're not throwing? And that would be just like Belichick to hold that back, develop the kid, get a game plan. Everybody's preparing for the short game, and then open him up and go a little deeper. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't know if there's any merit to it. I thought it was interesting. Good point. All right, next game up, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the New York Jets. Thank God that Jack's ass is out of Jacksonville. I love the bust Jacksonville Jaguars fans' balls, but they don't deserve that shit. That guy is just, what a joke, man. We talked about that in preseason, just what a circus this was from the very beginning. I don't see how that guy gets a job anywhere else. I don't know, man. He will.
No, I think his coaching career is over.
Do you?
Yeah, he's not going to get another NFL job. You burnt all of these bridges. He was being laughed at by his own players, and then the whole kicking the kicker thing. Like, he's not going to get another NFL job. And unless you're extremely desperate, if you're a college program, like, how can you have a guy who has all these negative issues come in, sit down in some high school kids' living room and try to sit down and recruit these kids? Like, I think unless a team gets very desperate and opens their pocketbooks, which I highly doubt that would happen at this point, I think his coaching career is done. He's just gonna stick with his broadcasting, being on the TV thing, and hopefully I don't even like seeing him on that. But I think, his coaching career is over.
I'd rather listen to Adam Archuleta.
That's saying something.
I hope not. This stuff that we heard come out, I heard somebody say, and I don't remember who it is, or I give them a shout out, that they thought maybe that he had done this on purpose. This is his way out to get his contract, get fired, keep his money.
I don't think he's keeping his money. He was fired for cause.
Fired for cause because he was physical with the player.
So maybe Sal Khan's not as stupid as we thought he was.
Waited for the right moment.
He was just waiting for the right moment. Interesting. I hadn't heard that. It's a good point. Anyway, what a joke. What a disaster. The Jags may be better without him. I shouldn't even said maybe, should I?
No, their offense didn't put a lot of points on the board in the first game without Urban, but they operated better.
Yeah. So that brings us to this game. I mean, they're in New York. The Jets are showing signs of life. I use that term loosely. I don't think the Jets are, going to rattle off 3 or 4 in a row. But just when I would have normally just easily taken the Jets, now we got this question with Meyer being gone. Does Jacksonville start to get better? This may end up being a pretty good game. But I got to go with statistics. I got to go with the home team on this. I am going to pick the Jets, which I don't think I've done that for 2 years.
Yeah, it's I don't know, snooze fest here. It's Jets favored by 2.5. I'm going to go with the Jets.
This is a game where I think Zach Wilson had a chance to lock up the Dolphins game and kind of faltered there toward the end. I think the same thing is going to happen here. This is where we see Brian Schottenheimer, obviously the son of the late great Marty Schottenheimer, is taking over play calling duties. He's got Trevor Lawrence, James Robinson was back in the fold. That's going to be important for the Jaguars here. Against a lesser opponent in the Jets, I think the Jaguars come out and get an impressive win.
All right. FA's taking the Jags. When was the last time you said that?
Probably never, honestly.
And Zach and I are taking the Jets in a game that, not many people care about. The Jacksonville, I thought I saw where Jacksonville locked up the number 1 pick. How is that possible?
No, they did not.
Yeah. I must have read the headline wrong. And I didn't have time to look at it. But okay, next game up we are looking at is the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles in NFC East matchup. Is Hurts back? He's not, is he?
Hurts is expected to be back.
Okay.
And the Giants shut down Daniel Jones for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that it's probably going to be Russell Wilson next year in New York.
Interesting. Giants would have a really good offense.
Yeah. What I don't understand about that is I don't know why the Giants don't try to keep up appearances for Daniel Jones. At this point, you're 4-10. They should have tried to make Daniel Jones look as good as possible and not worried about winning a damn game, get a better draft pick, and then dangled him for a higher amount of money. By them putting him on the bench, they just lowered his stock if they're really going to deal him out. So anyway, this is if Hurts is back, I like what the Eagles are doing. I think they're trying to get it together. I think they're working the pieces out with Sirianni. I fully expect them to win this week. I'm going to take the Eagles.
Eagles favored by 10. I think they'll get it done and cover.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles here too. Whether they cover or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that this Giants offense just doesn't look right. I think they're going to be looking for coaching changes also. Joe Judge and his coaching staff are obviously not it. They brought in so many stars on offense in the offseason. Haven't been able to get anything done. Sterling Shepard tore his Achilles. He is once again out for the season. So it's been a disappointing year for the Giants, and that continues when they play the Eagles.
Yep, we're all three taking the Eagles. Next up is Tampa at Carolina. Bar Carolina getting a hold of some game film and figuring it all out and doing a repeat of what the Saints did. God help the Carolina Panthers. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, obviously, I'm taking the Bucs here. My question is, why is PJ Walker not your starting quarterback? He is undefeated on the season. He is 1-0. Darnold sucked. Newton sucks. Why is PJ Walker not starting?
I've honestly been wondering the same thing. Like, why doesn't this dude get the opportunity? Maybe there's a chance he does. I know Matt Rule is discussing the fact that, Cam Newton's not guaranteed to be the starter. But this is a game where I think the Bucs defense and the Panthers defense is good too. But with as poor as the Carolina offense is and as good as the Tampa Bay's defense is, I expect this to be a blowout win for the Bucs.
And to your point about Cam Newton not being the answer or whatever, isn't the dude like 0-9 as a Carolina Panther? The last 9 games, isn't he 0-9 as a Carolina Panther?
He's been in for the last 4 for the Panthers, and he lost all those. As far as when he was with the Patriots, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I think his last 9 games with the Panthers, he's 0-9.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I understand why they brought him back, maybe resurrect his career. We talked about that. I was kind of rooting for the guy. I thought he'd have his head out of his ass and it would work. And I think I talked about that with New England. He's familiar, bring him in, but he's not getting it done either. Of course, I don't think it's completely his fault. I think the coaching staff there is part of the problem. So I don't want to dump all that on Cam or Darnold for that matter. Anyway, we're spending way too much time talking about the Carolina Panthers. We're all three taking the Bucs. All right, next up, the Chargers at the Houston Texans. Texans, in my opinion, are one of the bottom three teams in the league. The Chargers, they know what they got to do, and they're trying to fight their way into playoffs. Fortunately for them, they're going to get to come in and beat up on Houston this weekend.
Sorry, I was looking up your Newton thing. I think it's 12.
Holy. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm back at 2018. It looks like he was pulled after week 15. I don't know if he was just replaced or whatever. But he had dropped 6 games before week 16 when Heineke was the leading passing quarterback in that game. So 6 games there, 2 games in 2019 plus 4 this year. So
wow.
Yeah, sorry. Chargers, Texans, Chargers all day.
Yeah, this one's not much of a conversation. Justin Herbert's playing well enough to almost have himself in that MVP conversation if they can string together some wins. So I think the Chargers get a blowout win in Houston.
All right, we're all three taking the Chargers, and you should too. Next up is the Bears at Seahawks. I don't have much to say about this. Unfortunately, I hate when these words come out of my mouth, but I'm going to have to take the Seahawks on this one. Bears are just bad.
Yeah, they are bad. Seahawks are also bad. The Hawks are favored by 7 at home. I actually think I will take the Bears on the spread here, but I'm going to take the Seahawks to pull out the win.
Yeah, this is a game that I might switch. Neither of these teams, as we're recording this, neither of these teams have played yet this week. So I'm waiting to see what happens here. But I expect that Russell Wilson and this offense, they've looked better over the last couple of weeks. I think they'll come into this game, be able to put up just enough points to beat the Bears. But I expect this game to be close.
All right, we're all three taking the Seahawks. Next game up is the Steelers at the Kansas City Chiefs. If things are right in the universe, if things are aligning like they should, the Chiefs should be emerging as one of the dominant AFC teams to make a run in the playoffs. The Steelers have been hanging around doing what the Steelers do, disrupting people's big plans. But I don't think they have enough to make this push. The Colts need them to go another game down. But I don't see the Steelers coming into Arrowhead and beating the Chiefs this late in the season.
No, I don't see it either. It's the Chiefs are favored by 9.5 here. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win on the money line. But if TJ Watt is in there, he is an absolute stud, an absolute monster, and I think he's going to cause enough havoc for the Steelers to cover that spread there. So I'm taking the Steelers on the spread, but the Chiefs on the money line here.
So this one's going to get tricky. We're going to have to pay attention to the cover list as this week goes on because currently Travis Kelce, Harrison Butker, and Charvarius Ward, the cornerback for the Chiefs, are all on the COVID list. So as I understand it, are all vaccinated and have a chance to play Sunday if they can produce multiple negative tests in a certain amount of time. So again, that's something to pay attention to. But as it is right now, even with those guys out, if there are nobody else for the Chiefs, I have the Chiefs winning this game. Don't really think it's going to be particularly close to 2 or 3 score game because the Chiefs defense has been very dominant. I believe they're getting Chris Jones back for this game. So I expect the Chiefs again at home to dominate the Steelers.
All right. We're all three taking the Kansas City Chiefs against the Steelers this weekend. Next up is the Broncos, the Raiders. Interesting. This is an AFC West game. These teams are pretty evenly matched. Broncos got a better defense overall, but the game is going to be in Vegas. We're waiting right now to see what happens with the Raiders-Browns game. But all in all, I'm going to have to go with the Broncos on this one.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I don't think Bridgewater is going to be starting quarterback here. He's going to concussion protocol. So that leaves it up to Drew Lock, and I just don't have confidence in Drew Lock. The Raiders, they up and down. They've been struggling as of late. However, right now they're beating the Browns as we're doing this podcast. So I think they're probably going to win that. Although the Browns just came back, they're only down by 3 at this point. But Teddy Bridgewater out. I think I'm going to have to go with the Raiders here at home. I do think that the Broncos, because of their defense, can win this game, even with Drew Lock as their starting quarterback. But I'm going to go with the Raiders.
So this one for me comes down to 2 words. Drew Lock. Give me the Raiders.
That was short and sweet.
Yeah.
All right. I'm taking the Broncos, and the boys are taking the Raiders. Next up is Washington at Dallas. NFC East game. These games get weird. They really get weird. But look, I'm going to put this one on the Cowboys fans. If they're them boys, they better lock this one up. If they're as good as Cowboys fans are saying they are, and they're going to make a run for the NFC Championship, this should be no contest for them this late in the year. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Cowboys. I really want to take Washington here, more so because they just played the Cowboys 2 weeks ago, and the Cowboys only won by 7. But I do think that the Cowboys are a better football team. I do think they will do enough to win. I don't know if the Cowboys are letting it all loose right now. Somebody brought up a good point. It might have been on the Pat McAfee show where they were talking about how the Cowboys might not let it all loose until the playoffs come around, just kind of coasting by, keeping the game taped to a minimum. You know what I mean? So I think the Cowboys will pull this off. They are a better football team. So I will be taking them. I think the spread is 10.5 in favor of the Cowboys. It'll probably be closer than that. So I'll take Washington when it comes to the spread, but Cowboys to win the game outright.
Yeah, that's an interesting spread. I think I might take the Cowboys on that one. I think their defense is going to be able to come in and dominate Washington. The first game against these teams, the Cowboys' defense dominated. You know, it was a pick 6 by Dak Prescott on a terrible decision that helped Washington even think about being able to win that game. But I don't expect anything like that to happen this time. You know, the Dallas offense, week by week, they're starting to find their groove again. It's still, you know, obviously it's not what we saw at the beginning of the year, but getting better. And they don't have to be world beaters like everybody, you know, expects them to be, because that defense is so good. I expect that defense to continue carrying them, and I expect the Cowboys to lock up their division with a win at home this weekend.
Okay, we're all 3 taking the Cowboys. With it seems like Zach with the low confidence, me with the medium confidence, and Hefe with the highest level of confidence. But nonetheless, we're all 3 taking the Cowboys. All right, last game. The Monday night game is the Dolphins at the Saints. I'm a Dolphins fan. I like Brian Flores. I don't dislike Tua, but I don't think he's the answer. The Dolphins, everybody down here is all high on their win streak. It's just because they're beating up 5th graders on the playground. And after what the Saints did to the Bucs, I just have to believe that the Saints are, and Sean Payton, I know Sean Payton wasn't there, but it's still his organization. He's a tenured coach. He's got it going on. He's got a Super Bowl ring. They're in New Orleans. They're riding high off this win, and I think they're a better team than the Dolphins right now. I'm taking the Saints.
Yeah, like you said, Dolphins on a 6-game streak. The only quality team that they beat was the Baltimore Ravens. However, we said earlier in the show that Baltimore Ravens could be 2-12 at this point in the season. So not a whole lot there to brag about. You've also beaten the Texans, the Jets twice, the Giants, and the Panthers. So yeah, keep on talking about how you have a 6-game win streak, because it's ending this week against the New Orleans Saints, who just shut out the defending Super Bowl champs and the best offensive team in the league. So New Orleans Saints all day. Let me pull up the spread real quick. Saints are only favored by 3. I'm taking Saints all day on that spread.
Yeah, that's a tricky spread to me. I might take the Saints on that one. I don't know. I think that's going to be close, but I do think the Saints are going to be able to win this game on the back of their defense. But I also don't think that, this Dolphins defense, they have a good secondary, but where can you attack them in the run game? What is Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara going to do? They're probably going to share carries and end up with like 45, 50 carries in this game between the two of them. I could see him going over 200 yards rushing in this game for the Saints. I see him probably getting to 20 points. I don't know if the Dolphins will with how good the Saints defense is. So give me the Saints. I don't know what the score is going to be, but I projected it to be 32 total points in this one.
All right. We're all three taking the Saints on the Monday night game. So real quick, let's hit this playoff rundown. This stuff, man, this is getting interesting. This is one for the crazy season has led us to one of the best postseason runs I've ever been a part of as an NFL fan. I won't tell you how long that'll date me in my 43 years of watching football.
Yeah, just know that earlier in this show, Brad called the AFC South the AFC East, said the Colts were about to win the AFC East. That's how long he's been watching football.
That wasn't that long ago.
Did I really? Did I really say that? Wow. Okay.
What was that, 90, 98?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. See, and because you said that it's not that long ago, that's dating you guys. So, all right. And the number one spot in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs at 10-4. They're probably going to win this week, go to 11-4. The Patriots are right behind them on the number 2 spot at 9-5. They know they got to win, and Belichick knows that coming into the game against the Bills. The Titans are in the 3rd spot at 9-5. I don't think the Titans can worry about where they're at right now. They're just trying to hold their shit together. The Bengals are in 4th spot at 8-6, but they got the Ravens, and they're fighting the Ravens for this. This is going to change. This is going to be like a freaking NASCAR race in the last 10 laps right here. The Bengals are in the Colts are in the 5th spot at 8-6. If they win 2 out of the next 3 and the Titans lose 2 out of the next 3, the Colts could take the 3rd spot. Take the AFC South. The Colts can overtake the AFC South, which is currently the number 3 spot. The Chargers are in the number 6 spot at 8-6, but they are tied up with the Bills in number 7 at 8-6. The Ravens are in the 8th spot at 8-6. And they got a whole slew of teams right behind trying to work their way in. I think the Chargers are going to win this week. I think they're going to shore up that number 6 spot. I think the Colts and the Chargers both are take one step closer to locking these spots up. But the Bills got to win, man. And the Ravens are going to try to have something to say about that. The Browns aren't, because I think they're still down to the Raiders right now, correct? Yeah, 10-7. So I don't know if they're going to pull this one out or not. Steelers 7-6-1, and then we're down in the Dolphins and the Broncos and the Raiders, and I don't think anything's going to happen with that. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't think that the top 7 seeds are going to change no matter what the outcome is this week, because for my predictions, all the teams that are on the bubble, from the 8 seed down in the AFC, I have them all losing their games. So I think the top 7 are going to stay the same for another week.
Yeah, the only thing, if the Ravens beat the Bengals, and the Bills lose, then or the Bills win, then the Bengals get shoved down to the 8th spot. The Ravens and the Bengals flip flop. The Bills lose, then I don't know who goes where. But for the most part, I think you're right. I think it'll stay pretty much the same. All right. We're looking at the NFC. The Packers are number 1 seed, 11-3. They're probably going to take one step closer to shoring that number 1 seed up this week. Cowboys number 2 spot at 10-4. They're probably going to move up to 11-4. Buccaneers, the 3rd spot at 10-4. They're probably also going to move to 10-4. They're the only team to clinch. The Packers are the only team to clinch their division. The Buccaneers are still trying to clinch their division. Cardinals are on the slide. They're in the 4th spot. Hopefully they'll move down. They've got the Rams at 9-4 trying to get in. So if the Cardinals lose the Colts, the Rams could win. They slide up. Do they have a tiebreaker?
Yes, they do.
Wow. Okay. 49ers are in the 6th spot at 8-6, which is crazy that the 49ers have been able to turn it around and climb up into this spot. And the Saints are in the 7th spot at 7-7. Washington, if they beat Dallas, they could be pushing their way in, but I don't think that's going to happen. And then fuck them Vikings.
Yeah, can't forget about the Eagles though. They're the only NFC team on the outside that has a real chance to get in.
I agree. And I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, that they could slip their way in here. I think a lot of things got to go their way, and with Hurts being back, that certainly helps their case. So we have to definitely keep an eye on the Eagles for sure. Good point. All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we go?
No. Everybody enjoy football and have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah. It does it for this week. Just show us some love. Tell everybody. Tell your grandma. Give her the gift of the Horsemen Patreon for Christmas. That's what your grandma really wants for Christmas. Join us on Pigskin Pick 'em. You know what? You've heard this a million times. Go to horsemansports.com and join us. We'd love to have you. We'll see you back here again next week after Christmas to keep talking about this crazy season. We hope that you and your family have wonderful holidays, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Of course, we should see you back here next week so we can tell you Happy New Year next week. So make sure that happens too. But we appreciate you joining us, and we wish you all the best for the holidays. And until then, deuces.